Hello everyone, hope you're all having a lovely afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Susan Docherty, your student president, and I'm joined by very special guest, GCU Principal and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Pamela Gillies. Welcome, Principal.
Well, it's great to be here, Susan. Thank you so much for inviting me. And listen, you can call me Pamela.
Okay, I'll call you Pamela. So this afternoon we will be discussing student mental health and International Women's Day, amongst other things. So any questions, please put in the chat and we'll try to answer as many as possible. So at GCU and the Students Association, we have always promoted positive mental health, as you all know, and just finished our month-long Feel Fab Feb event led by our VP Skebby, Zoe Nicholson. At the moment, I'm working on a Mind Your Mate submission for funding for peer-to-peer support for students, and Zoe is continuing to work on the Student Mental Health Agreement with the university. So Pamela, could you let us know your thoughts on mental health and what resources are available or will be for students at the university, or any other thoughts on promoting positive mental health?
Well, thanks, Susan. I think the first thing to say is really important that the university has a strong partnership with the Students Association. So, I just want to commend the student officers for the leadership that they've shown in this area, because you've got to create an environment where all of us feel quite comfortable to talk about our mental health and to say, oh, I'm feeling down today, or I'm feeling really down, or I'm worried. I'm worried about maybe my finances. I'm worried about sitting in this wee room learning all online all the time. Who can I talk to? Where can I go for help? So at the university, we've created online resources for you. You can have a look online if you haven't already, to look to see how we can help you online. We have enhanced our counselling provision. So if you've got a really special problem and you're feeling particularly low, then do think about getting in touch with our counsellors, and we'll see to you straight away, and they can counsel about specific issues. We've also been helping our staff. So we've been giving our staff training through the Scottish Mental Health group. And what they're doing is training our staff in a way to help them to listen to you. We think that's really important. So if you've got a problem and you want to talk about it, you can go to your personal tutor, and your tutor will be really well skilled to be able to listen to what's happening to you, and maybe then direct you in the appropriate way so that you can get help. So the other thing that we are just about to do in partnership with the Students Association is to launch a wee campaign just to encourage you to, speak up if you're feeling a bit down. How are you feeling today? So we're asking questions about what might you be worried about? Are you anxious? And just to alert you to the fact that we're here to help and we're here to listen. And I assure you that staff are just as weary as you are about not being able to get back onto campus. And with all our fingers and toes crossed, we're hoping that by September, we might be back in a way to near normal activity, as long as everybody is safe.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know that the training that's taking part for the staff at the university is going to be rolled out to the Students Association staff, which is fantastic. I think everybody needs to know where to signpost. So I think that's a great thing. If anybody's got any questions on mental health, please put it in the chat. At the moment, I have a couple of, let's have a look. Tabitha Yariki has said hello to yourself, Principal. Hello, Tabitha. And
hi, Tabitha.
Principal from Ailey.
Hi, Ailey.
And Zoe as well. Hello, both. Hello, everybody. So any questions that anybody has on mental health, stick it in the chat. Something that we can bring up and we can talk about. I know that mental health, talking to a lot of students over the past, I would say, few months, I've seen a bit of an increase in anxiety. It's something that we've spoke about, Pamela, and the anxiety that students are feeling. I think with the fact that this lockdown is still going on, I think there's been quite a few things that's alleviated that anxiety, though. I think the funding that's been put in place, we've got the Winter COVID Fund. So just to let students know, I posted my social media yesterday that has been extended to July, which is absolutely fantastic news, because I know trying to rush people to get their applications in before March was a bit of a stretch when people get deadlines, so that's great.
Yeah.
been extended to July. And I think also the fair assessment policy approach that was put in place, I think that's really helped alleviate a lot of anxieties as well. So
I think that's a big one, the fair assessment, and be sure that colleagues, we're not dropping our academic standards and quality through this process. You will be fairly assessed, your talent will be recognised, and you will, at the end of the day, graduate with a fantastic qualification that will be recognised around the world.
Yeah,
and I think that in terms of that level of anxiety, Susan, but when are we going to get back to normal? And the real answer to that is when we can get everybody vaccinated. So at the moment, we're doing brilliantly in the UK, vaccinating people, old folk like me, who may have an underlying health condition, who are vulnerable, the very, very elderly. We're doing so well at getting our vulnerable populations vaccinated. But by July, we really hope that everyone 18 and over will be vaccinated, and COVID will still be out there. We'll still have to take a wee bit of care, but the good thing will be that if you get COVID and you're vulnerable, you're not likely to die of it or end up in hospital if you've been vaccinated. So, I'm really proud of all of our students, Susan, who have really stuck to social distancing, and when they're out and about, they've been really careful. They've been very, very responsible whenever they've been on campus, and I know not many of you have been on campus. Sorry about that, we can't do anything about that, but you've all been so very good. And if you're feeling down, as I say, we're launching this new campaign, and it will give you lots of ideas about where you can go and who you can speak to. And I know that your student association's putting on social programs for you to be engaged in, which, Susan, is just a fantastic idea.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm just going to pick up a couple of questions here before we continue. From Vincent Waters. They say, good afternoon. The new scheme for students to declare their challenges is excellent news. We know students across Scotland are struggling, but don't seem to be saying so to their lecturers. Does it seem that way from the staff perspective?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So when I speak to my staff and I go around all our departments on a regular basis, what they say to me is that our students, are the light of their lives at the moment, because what you're doing as students is you're always encouraging our staff. You're giving them very, very positive feedback about how they're helping you with their synchronous learning, or sometimes some of our staff are creating, book clubs and coffee clubs and so on. They're going the extra mile. And the thing that makes their job a joy, even in these difficult circumstances, is support from students. But on the other hand, they recognise that some of you must be struggling, but you aren't coming forward to tell your tutors that you're struggling. And that's why we put the SANICH mental health training in for our staff, just as I say, to give them the tools to open up, be more accessible to you. So my message would be, don't hold back. If you want to talk to somebody, obviously there's folk at the Students' Association, but don't hold back from sharing some of your worries with your lecturers, because they will be receptive. And they might tell you too about some of the struggles they're having with homeschooling, if they've got wee kids running about their feet, or if they're looking after an elderly relative who's not well. We're all adults, so we're all vulnerable at some time. And this technique, this Zooming technique, is a way of us perhaps being more accessible to each other in a way that we've never really been able to before. We've got to know each other better as people, and that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah. I think the students recognise that staff are struggling as well. It's something that we've discussed in focus groups, and in a lot of the meetings that we're in, we discuss with students. Obviously, as you said, they've got children at home, they've got responsibilities the same as students, which is, it's quite nice that the students are recognising that as well. I've got another question here from Tabitha Nurike, one of our vice presidents, SHLS. GCU have been active in the work of tackling racism on campus. How do you feel this will help BAME students' mental health? Are there any mental health provisions that are tailored to BAME students, as historically these are groups that don't usually seek mental health support?
Oh, Tabitha, that's a great challenge and question. first thing I would say is that the mental health support services and materials are for everyone, regardless of who you are, whether you come from the BAME community or not. But the challenge you've set is that BAME students are less likely to perhaps tell the tutor that they're feeling a bit down, or maybe less likely to use the online resources that currently exist. And so your challenge to us is to say, well, you actually need to provide specialist resources that are tailored specifically to speak to the BAME community. So I'm definitely going to take that away, Tabitha, and obviously work with Susan and the Students' Association and a little task group. We have a task group against racism that's looking at all kinds of issues to do with the BAME community, and maybe we should get together and see if we can create some specialised resources in this area. Great challenge.
Yeah, so I suppose it's a bit equity rather than equality, isn't it? I mean, racism and discrimination are unfortunately embedded in our society that we all know, and tackling racism for us at Students' Association as a campaigning organisation, I think means recognising that ethnic inequality is bad for mental health as well as for the GCU communities and for social and economic success. I know that Tabitha has been working with the university on an easier way for students to report racism, which I think shows our community that all voices will be heard and that racism won't be tolerated and action will be taken. So I think that hearing the voices of the ethnic diverse students helps to promote a powerful message that university is listening and will tackle ethnic inequalities, which obviously in turn will help to reduce negative mental health.
Yeah. You can see how passionate our student president is about this issue. No stone will be unturned on this one, and we are working very closely together. Yeah. So we will take this forward.
Definitely. I've got another question here. Let's have a wee look. Ailey, one of the joys of my week, apart from having our weekly Zoom call with me, is her cyber psychology class. My lecturer always seems happy to see us, and in return makes me feel good. So that's really nice, Ailey.
Yeah, that's great to hear, Ailey.
Yeah. Let's have another. We've got another one from Vincent. Staff at GCU have been outstanding in their work over the past year. Can't be celebrated too much for what they've done. It's been the hardest years I've ever likely had in their career. So yeah, so that's another positive message, Vincent. Thanks very much. Let's see if we've got any other questions. Oh, another one from Ailey. Is there anything from your experience leading GCU during COVID-19 that you would like to share with us? I think it's interesting to hear experiences from all across the university.
Right. Well, I think the very first thing I learned was that this idea of leadership, it's called distributed leadership, really works, Ailey. So having you, Ailey, and Susan as part of our executive board from the earliest days of COVID-19 has really encouraged us to distribute leadership much, much more broadly throughout the university and to celebrate leaders. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, you can be a leader in the university. And this approach to leadership, we're really going to follow this through because it will bring us together more as a community. And I've so enjoyed working with you, Ailey, and Susan, and in fact, all the student officers. We've all been very honest with each other, faced some tough challenges, Susan, and we faced some tough decisions, but my goodness, having your student leaders right by our side as we're making difficult decisions for the whole university has been extremely helpful. I think the other thing I would say that COVID has taught us is that we have to look at mental health from a holistic perspective in the university. We maybe need to bring student mental health work and staff mental health work together because we're all part of one community. And going forward, we're going to think differently about well-being in the institution. And, I think we're going to have to measure it much more carefully and closely and consistently going forward, because we know that in organisations, everybody thinks that what you measure really counts. So if we say this is going to be an indicator of our success, how well we all are in terms of our mental health, that will be an important learning from COVID-19 that we can take forward. The other thing I learned, Ailey, on a lighter note, is that I love cheesy What's It and crisps. and that, you know, in lockdown, you know, I'm not looking forward to people seeing me again, Ailey, because I've got tummies now. Instead of one tummy, I've got tummies. So, you know, but what that tells me is that everybody's using different techniques to relieve their stress. For me, it's silly things to eat. For other people, it might be a wee glass of wine. For others, it might be healthy things like yoga and walking, you know, and we need to create space in our lives for the people we love, more time for relationships, but more space to keep ourselves healthy. So I think that's another learning. How can we, in what we do in the university, create space for our students and staff to have social activities, to have partnership working, and to do things other than just academic work together.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think mental health has been brought to the forefront for COVID-19. It's something that, you know, obviously the stigma was still there. And I think so many people have now opened up and spoke about their own mental health, which I think is a really positive thing. I think rather than separating it, as you said, from staff and students, it's far beneficial to everybody, I think, if it's put together. And you were saying about people with vices. I think mine has been overeating and drinking. So, and too much wine. So yeah, but I think I should go over before I see anybody. So we'll take now a couple of questions, and then we're going to start discussions on the International Women's Day. So let's have a wee look. We've got one from Zoe, our Vice President from Skibet. Do you know when sports will return to campus? Ever asking an ending question, and also when the art will be available for sports use again. As physical health is also really important for students. Of course it is. Thanks, Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe, a really, really good question. The answer has to be as soon as the public health guidelines let us do so. I would think it probably won't be before September, because as I said, we've got to make sure everybody's been vaccinated at least once. And the most vulnerable by September will have been vaccinated twice. I'm still expecting in the autumn wee spikes of COVID to happen, which might mean that within certain cities around Scotland, there will need to be little mini lockdowns, maybe a week at a time, just to shut the door on that reservoir of COVID infection that's going to be out there. But look, what we've said to the Scottish Government as a group of principals and Vice-Chancellors is we want to plan to have everybody back on campus in September. Now, some of our students have said to us, we actually quite like, you know, working online some of the week. It's actually been really helpful to us. It's meant we haven't had to, you know, commute into work, and staff have said the same. So going forward, the other thing we've learned from COVID-19 is perhaps we need more flexibility in how we structure the day or structure the week for our staff and students. But without any doubt, I want to be back 5 days a week. See my pals, you know, engage with folk, give folk hugs. Won't be before September on a regular basis. I can't see it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Pamela, sorry. What I'm going to do is, we've got other questions here. I'm going to talk about the International Women's Day, and then we can come back to the other questions that we've got there. So I'm going to move on, talk about International Women's Day, which is this Monday, the 8th of March. For those who don't know, it's a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality, and a day to recognise strong women everywhere. So the theme for this year's campaign is #Truth to Challenge. A challenge world is an alert world, and from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. So Pamela, do you want to tell us a wee bit about International Women's Day, how the university is getting involved and what it means to you?
Well, I think it's a really, really important day, International Women's Day, to celebrate the leadership role that women can have in the world. And you know, when I was a wee girl, my mum always used to say to me, she'd say, Pamela, you know, girls really are as good as boys at almost everything. But you know, in some areas, they're even better. So she was always encouraging that idea of equality between men and women. We certainly didn't have it when I was a wee girl. And you know, even to this day, there are very few women leaders on FTSE 100 company boards, for example. There are only 20% women who are vice chancellors of universities in the United Kingdom. In our university, 40% of our professors are women. And that's because we've had a focused look at reducing the gender pay gap, which has been reduced dramatically in our university, and encouraging women to apply for promotion. So this choose to challenge, the situation where men are the natural leaders. And I know lots of men, like our Emeritus Chancellor, Nobel Prize winner Muhammad Yunus, who actively promotes women because he knows that when he hears equally women's voices and men's voices together, he'll come up with better solutions to the world's problem. So I think this day is vitally important to give us the confidence to lead, to step forward, to share our ideas, to be heard as women. But it's equally important that we have male supporters in that as well, who aren't frightened to allow women's voices to be heard, who aren't put off by women leaders, and who want to work in partnership with us to make the world a better and safer place. So if you can, choose to challenge and join the activities. You'll be joining Annie Lennox, our wonderful Chancellor, who's created a short video for us to enjoy on the day. I'm certainly joining in the choose to challenge, and it's just a lovely day where women are celebrated. And some people say to me, but there isn't a man's day, there isn't an international men's day. Why do we need an international women's day? And it's just because of the inequality, if you like, in leadership roles adopted by women. And so go for it, is what I would say.
Yeah. So, I mean, the students we have also got involved in the International Women's Day. Myself and Stuart from the Students' Home team got together women at GCU who don't fit that typical traditional stereotype. And I know Stuart's done some features on them that will be out on social media, so you can look out for that. And also to mark the International Women's Day, the GCU Circle Society is calling on all staff and students to support the local women's refuge. The GCU Circle Society is a collective within the Circle, which is a charity founded by our Chancellor, Dr. Annie Lennox, OBE, to champion women's rights around the world. Myself, as Vice President of the GCU Circle Society, and Ailey Fulton, the Circle President, are encouraging you to donate to your women's shelter if you can. Even the smallest donations can make a difference. We are having an event on Monday as well. Hopefully, Ailey, if she's still there, can post that in the link if anybody wants to drop in and get involved. Also, so that the students know, our Women's Officer is taking over the Students' Association social media for the whole day on Monday. So there'll be loads of posts that you can get involved with. And if people want to take part, the hashtag choose to challenge. So that is the sign this year. Raise your hand, take a photo, post it on your social media with the hashtag choose to challenge. Tag me, Susie D, GCU, and GCU students, and we will share. So we will take some more comments or questions, if that's all right. Let's have a look here. We have a question. Ibrahim, can you please confirm we will get support for Winter COVID Fund for Students Association? He's also put another one here. We can make for more than 2 weeks. Right, okay. I mean, I know, was it 3 weeks, I think, that before you get...
So it's 3 weeks.
Is it 3 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah, so, but the fund is open to international students, so please do apply. The Scottish Government has allowed us to do that. We're absolutely thrilled by that. Yeah, and also for originally we had a few students contacting us, international students, saying that they couldn't apply because it says a UK bank account. We have now been told that if students are coming back to the UK to continue studying at a later date, they will still be able to apply. You can just leave that bit blank or contact the finance team. I'll put the email address in the link for you as well, Abraham, and you can maybe drop them a wee message if you've not heard anything within the 3 weeks. I think they've had over inundated with loads of applications, so hopefully you'll hear from them soon. I've got another wee comment from Vincent. Since we've got a principal who's an expert on, I can never say that word, so I'll let the principal say that in a minute. With all the strains going around and the potential variations in the reaction to vaccines, are we likely to be looking at some mitigation measures like masks for the vulnerable for some time to come? And the short answer is yes. I think probably until Christmas, but I think by Christmas our scientists will have created vaccines that absolutely take care of any variation. every year we all get the flu vaccine, the vulnerable in the population, but every year that vaccination has to be tweaked to take account of mutations, and it will be exactly the same for the COVID vaccination. So a very safe vaccination, and I think that over time we'll be moving to a one jab, if you like the Johnson & Johnson one in the United States at the present time. We'll be streamlining the process, make it really easy for folk to get jabs. I think it'll be difficult to imagine there will be huge freedom on the holiday front in the summer. I know lots of people are desperate to, get on that Euro Express train or get on that flight and get off to the sun. But I think, in Europe, the vaccination program is taking a bit longer to get off the ground than ours did. So I think this year holidays, are probably likely to be at home for most of us.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Pamela. I've got another question from Monica. I was wondering what was happening with the uni's commitment to the SDGs. Obviously, with COP26 coming to Glasgow as well, I've organised a speaker event about COP26 and climate activism under my role as one of the ethical and environmental officers. But I was wondering what your thought was on COP26 and the SDGs.
Great question. And I'm happy to be able to say that we have made a submission. Well, we're making a submission tomorrow for the green and blue zones. And it's going to be a submission which is looking at just transition financing in partnership with the African Development Bank, and that's from the Climate Justice Centre. It's going to be looking at microcredit and how microcredit can be used to support people who are suffering from climate change, and Professor Mohammed Yunus is joining us for that. And we're going to be looking at, from Mary Robinson, gender justice and climate justice, and how we can actually look out for the most vulnerable in the community here at home in terms of climate change and climate justice, but also around the world. And those strands are being drawn together with a conversation and a series of podcasts led by Sally Magnuson. So we're having a real focus on an area where we've got extraordinary expertise at home and overseas to have a big impact at COP26. And then on the middle Saturday, and we should have a conversation, Susan, about how many students can get involved in this, the World Health Organization Forum on Climate Justice is going to be hosted at the university. We hope this will be physically, and Mary Robinson's going to spend the whole day with us and be one of the keynote speakers at that event. But it's going to be a fabulous opportunity to showcase what we do, and we should discuss how your work can be showcased either in a talk at the conference, or if we can put up posters about what you do, where everybody who's coming to the conference can just see how extraordinary our students are and how focused they are on this thorny issue of climate change.
I think that's a great idea, but like the Points of Pride, we can have posters, and we've got so many sports clubs as well as societies, as well as ethical and environment, a lot going on at the Students Association as well as the wider GCU community. So I think that's a great idea. Thanks for that. And we have got a comment from Tabitha and Yariki's mum, all the way from Kenya. Congratulations. Great discussion. Hi, Tabitha's mother.
Hi, Tabitha's mum.
Let's move on. We have a question, I think, from River Gowans. There's actually an International Men's Day too, sometime in November, I believe. I always bring it up when people say that about Women's Day. Non-binary day is actually halfway between the two dates. So that's really interesting to know. Thanks for letting me know that.
I didn't know that. I knew there was a Movember Day where men are encouraged to grow moustaches, and that's in November. Yeah, but I didn't know it was actually identified as an International Men's Day. So thanks for that. That's very helpful. You see, you learn something new every day.
And Ailey has put on the Facebook event that we are holding for the Circle Society, so everybody is welcome, even if they're not part of the Circle Society, to attend that day. Let's have a wee look. We have another comment from one of our students. I'm so glad I've attended this. I feel connected with the university. It's so good to hear the principal. That's so nice.
Thank you so much.
And let's have another wee look. I agree from Zoe, agree with Atia. It's great to have this live stream here with Susie and Pamela.
And I've just learned, colleagues, that Susan likes to be called Susie. I had no idea.
Susan's my Sunday name.
So I obviously sound like your mother, Susan. I keep calling you Susan.
So River is just saying this is not just counting international men's day, it's just to mention when people ask why there is no men's day. So no, that's really helpful. Thanks so much, River. And let's have a look. Monica is just asking about the let me see, about the International Men's Day, social innovation students write down. Let's have a wee look. So I think that's all the questions that we've got just now. So just to maybe finish off, if there's anything you're going to talk about principal, I just wanted to make everybody aware the student elections are taking place. I'm sure everybody knows that they're taking place. My term is coming to an end, so from the 1st of June there will be a new team. So Principal, do you want to say anything about the student elections and maybe the importance of voting?
Yeah, well, you know, I think I've just explained to you all what a tremendous partnership Susie and I have, but all of the officers have with the university. We don't always agree on everything. My goodness, you wouldn't expect us to, but you know, we're so much better when we come together to make decisions. And you know, whoever is putting themselves up for these important roles, I can't impress on you how you know, valuable they are for university-wide decision making. So valuable because you're going to, you know, protect the rights of the student population. You're going to be, you know, the main voice of our student population, but you're going to make sure that the leadership of the university, you know, are working with you day in, day out to resolve problems. So please, please vote. It's so important that we have people of caliber and quality coming forward, and people that you want to represent you at the very highest level. And if you are putting yourself forward and you are successful, I promise you, you'll have experiences the like of which you could never have imagined. You'll learn things about your university you would never have believed, and it will open up doors of opportunity for you yourself for the future. So get voting.
Yep, definitely develop new skills that you never knew that you needed to develop. So it's truly a really unique experience. I think I've had the benefits of being on campus last year with the team there, and that was, you know, great fun. Slightly different this year being online, but again, you know, it's had a lot of positives as well as some negatives, but that's to be expected in a sort of strange world that we're living in at the moment. So please vote. It is really important for you to vote. You've got till 5 p.m. tonight. If you've not voted already, then you will have been sent an email from the Students Association. Every single student will have been sent that. You can just click on the link, that will take you straight there. Otherwise, you can go to www.gcustudents.co.uk/vote. So thanks so much for taking the time, Principal. It's very much appreciated.
And I've enjoyed it, Susie.
Great, thanks very much. And we'll see everybody soon.
Bye.